حدودنا نورا وأمنا سالما تبقى بظل قلوبنا.
دعوات كف متعب فاحت بمسك عطورنا، آيات قدر رتلت تجلو غبار صدورنا.
قربا تلت وترتلت آي بتجويد القرآن،
صوت على بين الملا إفطاركم وقتا قد حان.
هل في الدنا شهر الرحمن، أهلا مرحبا بك يا رمضان، فاض بالرحمة والغفران، يتنزل فيه القرآن. يا جمعة الأحباب كانت في السحور وفي المساء صوت المسحر يعتلي، قد كان حقا مؤنسا.
استيقظوا يا أهلنا، هذا صباح تنفس.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لتجدن أشد الناس عداوة للذين آمنوا اليهود والذين أشركوا، ولتجدن أقربهم مودة للذين آمنوا الذين قالوا إنا نصارى، ذلك بأن منهم قسيسين ورهبانا وأنهم لا يستكبرون. وإذا سمعوا ما أنزل إلى الرسول ترى أعينهم تفيض من الدمع مما عرفوا من الحق، يقولون ربنا آمنا فاكتبنا مع الشاهدين. وما لنا لا نؤمن بالله وما جاءنا من الحق ونطمع أن يدخلنا ربنا مع القوم الصالحين، فأثابهم الله بما قالوا جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها، وذلك جزاء المحسنين. والذين كفروا وكذبوا بآياتنا أولئك أصحاب الجحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تحرموا طيبات ما أحل الله لكم ولا تعتدوا، إن الله لا يحب المعتدين. وكلوا مما رزقكم الله حلالا طيبا، واتقوا الله الذي أنتم به مؤمنون. لا يؤاخذكم الله باللغو في أيمانكم ولكن يؤاخذكم بما عقدتم الأيمان، فكفارته إطعام 10 مساكين من أوسط ما تطعمون أهليكم أو كسوتهم أو تحرير رقبة، فمن لم يجد فصيام 3 أيام، ذلك كفارة أيمانكم إذا حلفتم، واحفظوا أيمانكم، كذلك يبين الله لكم آياته لعلكم تشكرون. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم أعني على صيامه وقيامه، وجنبني فيه من هفواته وآثامه، وارزقني ذكرك وشكرك بدوام هدايتك يا هادي المؤمنين. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا، وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا آمنا فاغفر لنا وارحمنا وأنت خير الراحمين. ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا. ربنا 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 أفرغ علينا صبرا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذا سألك عبادي عني فإني قريب أجيب دعوة الداعي إذا دعان.
وإذا سألك عبادي عني فإني قريب
أجيب دعوة الداعي إذا دعان. أسألك يا من هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الرحمن الرحيم الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر الخالق البارئ المصور الغفار القهار الوهاب الرزاق الفتاح العليم القابض الباسط الخافض الرافع المعز المذل السميع البصير الحكم العدل اللطيف الخبير الحليم العظيم الغفور الشكور العلي الكبير الحفيظ المقيم الحسيب الجليل الكريم الرقيب المجيب الواسع الحكيم الودود المجيد الباعث الشهيد الحق الوكيل القوي المتين الولي الحميد المحصي المبدئ المعيد المحيي المميت الحي القيوم الواجد الماجد الواحد الصمد القادر المقتدر المقدم المؤخر الأول الآخر الظاهر الباطن الوالي المتعالي البر التواب المنتقم العفو الرؤوف مالك الملك ذو الجلال والإكرام المقسط الجامع الغني المغني المانع الضار النافع النور الهادي البديع الباقي الوارث الرشيد الصبور الذي ليس كمثله شيء وهو السميع البصير اللهم صل أفضل صلاة على أسعد مخلوقاتك سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم عدد معلوماتك ومداد كلماتك كلما ذكرك ذاكرون وغفل عن ذكره الغافلون. يتنزل فيه القرآن هل في الدنا شهر الرحمن أهلا مرحبا بك يا رمضان فاض بالرحمة والغفران يتنزل فيه القرآن
مرت بك الأعوام تروي عن بيوت جدودنا نورا وأمنا سالما تبقى بظل قلوبنا دعوات كف متعب فاحت بمسك عطورنا ليلة تجلو غبار صدورنا. قربا تلت وترتلت آي بتجويد القرآن، صوت على بين الملا إفطاركم وقتا قد حان.
هل في الدنا شهر الرحمن، أهلا مرحبا بك يا رمضان، فاض بالرحمة.
أشهد أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين علي رسول الله. أشهد الله أكبر.
الله أكبر. الله أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أشهد أن صلاة الجماعة بإمامة سماحة السيد نزار حبل المتين صلى الله عليه وسلم. تقام صلاة الجماعة بإمامة سماحة السيد نزار حبل المتين. المؤمنين ولي الله. حي على الصلاة، حي على الصلاة، حي على الفلاح، حي على الفلاح، حي على خير العمل، حي على خير العمل. قد قامت الصلاة، قد قامت الصلاة. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. تكبيرة الإحرام. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الرحمن الرحيم، مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم، صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفره إنه كان توابا. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر، الله أكبر، الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الرحمن الرحيم، مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم، صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد، الله الصمد، لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وصل اللهم على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. استغفر الله. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد بحول الله وقوته. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمده.
الله أكبر.
الله أكبر.
سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده.
الله أكبر.
الله أكبر.
الله أكبر.
سبحان ربي
يا ولي العافية. الله أكبر. بسم الله
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. الثانية يغفر الله لكم. الثالثة على محبة أمير المؤمنين بأعلى أصواتكم.
دعاء. اللهم أدخل على أهل القبور السرور.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم أدخل على أهل القبور السرور. اللهم أغن كل فقير. اللهم أشبع كل جائع. اللهم اكس كل عريان. اللهم اقض دين كل مدين. اللهم فرج عن كل مكروب. اللهم رد كل غريب. اللهم فك كل أسير. اللهم أصلح كل فاسد من أمور المسلمين. اللهم اشف كل مريض. اللهم سد فقرنا بغناك. اللهم غير سوء حالنا بحسن حالك. اللهم اقض عنا الدين وأغننا من الفقر، إنك على كل شيء قدير. وصل اللهم على محمد وآله الطاهرين.
جاءنا شهر العبادة والغفران للصلاة، شهر ترتيل القرآن. جاءنا شهر العبادة والغفران للصلاة، شهر ترتيل القرآن. رمضان 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 شهر العبادة والصلاة، شهر به ترجى النجاة، يغفر فيه للعصاة وبه تزيد الحسنات.
شهر الله خير شهور، للعاصي ذنب مغفور،
ذنب مغفور.
رمضان 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 رمضان.
بلغني ربي للقدر واشرح بليلتها صدري، واقبل بها ربي عذري، يا سيدي واكشف ضري.
يا سبحان للإيمان وفقني أيها المنان،
أيها المنان.
رمضان 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 رمضان.
شهر به نور الحسن قد شع يزهو في الزمن، يجلي المآسي والمحن، صبط النبي المؤتمن.
نور الله درب هداه، من والاه فاز والله،
فاز والله.
رمضان 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 رمضان. جاءنا شهر العبادة والغفران، للصلاة شهر ترتيل القرآن. جاءنا شهر العبادة والغفران، للصلاة شهر ترتيل القرآن. رمضان 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 رمضان.
رمضان تجلى وابتسم، طوبى للعبد إذا اغتنم، في فضله قد قال الباري، قد هل ربيع العباد، وملائكة الرب تنادي، استغفر يا من قد ظلم، استغفر يا أنفاسك فيه تسبيحا قد صرح طه تصريحا أنفاسك فيه تسبيحا قد صرح طه تصريحا رمضان 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 من أخلص فيه للباري فسينجو من حر النار من أخلص فيه للباري فسينجو من حر النار رمضان 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 تجلى وابتسم رمضان تجلى وابتسم طوبى للعبد إذا تنمى وملائكة الرب تنادي استغفر يا من قد ظلما استغفر يا من قد ظلما رمضان تجلى وابتسم 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 طوبى للعبد إذا تنمى طوبى للعبد إذا تنمى رمضان تجلى وابتسم طوبى للعبد إذا تنمى في فضله قد قال الباري قد هل ربيع
خسته از غم‌های عالم به سوی تو آمده به سوی تو همه جا مهمانی توست من اگرچه سر زده من اگرچه سر زده نظر به چشم من مکن خجل ز لغزش آمدم خدای من خدای من مولای من ذلیل کار دنیا، من ذلیل کار دنیا. تو مرا میخواندی عمری، دل من در وهم و رویا، دل من عذر دلم را بپذیر، محتاج بخشش آمد خدای من، خدای من، خدای من، مولای من،
يتنزل فيه القرآن. هل في الدنا شهر الرحمن، أهلا مرحبا بك يا رمضان. فاض بالرحمة والغفران، يتنزل فيه القرآن.
مرت بك الأعوام تروي عن بيوت جدودنا نورا وأمنا سالما، تبقى بظل قلوبنا. دعوات كف متعب فاحت بمسك عطورنا، آيات قدر رتلت تجلو غبار صدورنا. قربا تلت وترتلت آي بتجويد القرآن، صوت على بين الملا، إفطاركم وقتا قد حان.
هل في الدنا شهر الرحمن، أهلا مرحبا بك يا رمضان. فاض بالرحمة والغفران، يتنزل فيه القرآن.
يا جمعة الأحباب كانت في السحور وفي المساء، صوت المسحر يعتلي، قد كان حقا مؤنسا. استيقظوا يا أهلنا، هذا صباح تنفس. عند المغيب يطيب صوت الشيخ ليلا عسعسا. شهر الصيام أنت السلام، أزهرت في القلب الإيمان. طبت المقام بين الكرام، أهلا بألطاف الرحمن.
شهر الرحمن، أهلا مرحبا بك يا رمضان. فاض بالرحمة والغفران، يتنزل فيه
فتحت متشعبة، رحمته قد وزعت في كوننا متصببة، أنفاسنا تسبيحة تزكو عبيرا طيبا. في دارنا نورتنا يا شهرنا الجاري رمضان، بقلوبنا آنستنا أفرحتنا شهر الغفران.
هل في الدنا شهر الرحمن، أهلا مرحبا بك يا رمضان، فاض بالرحمة والغفران، يتنزل فيه القرآن.
نتلو على اسم الله آيات ونشدو بالدعاء، فاز الذي في ليلك الزاهي إلى الله دعا. يا شهر رب العالمين لنا طريق الأسرى، فلأنت كنت لنا الرواء وكنت فينا المنبع، فاض الهوى منك ارتوى من فيضه ربي المنان. أنت المنى فيك السنا في النفس أنوارا قد بان.
مرحبا بك يا رمضان، فاض بالرحمة والغفران، يتنزل فيه القرآن.
رمضان تجلى وابتسم، طوبى للعبد إذا اغتنما. رمضان تجلى وابتسم، طوبى للعبد إذا اغتنما. فالخير وفير إن صرما، ينجي المأثوم من النار. رمضان تضوع في الكون وتلالأ في ساحل العين. رمضان تضوع في الكون وتلالأ في ساحل العين. هو مد لنا كف العون لنفوز بحب الغفار. هو شهر الله ومضيفه،
جاءنا شهر العبادة والغفران للصلاة، شهر ترتيل القرآن. جاءنا شهر العبادة والغفران للصلاة، شهر ترتيل القرآن. رمضان 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 رمضان.
شهر العبادة والصلاة، شهر به ترجى النجاة، يغفر فيه للعصاة، وبه تزيد الحسنات.
شهر الله خير شهور، للعاصي ذنب مغفور.
ذنب مغفور.
رمضان 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 رمضان.
بلغني ربي للقدر، واشرح بليلتها صدري، واقبل بها ربي عذري. يا سيدي واكشف ضري.
يا سبحان للإيمان، وفقني أيها المنان.
أيها المنان.
رمضان.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أفتتح الثناء بحمدك، وأنت مسدد للصواب بمنك، وأيقنت أنك أنت أرحم الراحمين في موضع العفو والرحمة، وأشد المعاقبين في موضع النكال والنقمة، وأعظم المتجبرين في موضع الكبرياء والعظمة. اللهم أذنت لي في دعائك ومسألتك، فاسمع يا سميع مدحتي، وأجب يا رحيم دعوتي، وأغل يا غفور عثرتي. فكم يا إلهي من كربة قد فرجتها، وهموم قد كشفتها، وعثرة قد أغلتها، ورحمة قد نشرتها، وحلقة بلاء قد فككتها. الحمد لله الذي لم يتخذ صاحبة ولا ولدا، ولم يكن له شريك في الملك، ولم يكن له ولي من الظلم، وكبره تكبيرا. الحمد لله بجميع محامده كلها على جميع نعمه كلها. الحمد لله الذي لا مضاد له في ملكه ولا منازع له في أمره. الحمد لله الذي لا شريك له في خلقه ولا شبيه له في عظمته. الحمد لله الفاشي في الخلق أمره وحمده، الظاهر بالكرم مجده، الباسط بالجود يده، الذي لا تنقص خزائنه ولا تزيده كثرة العطاء إلا جودا وكرما، إنه هو العزيز الوهاب. اللهم إني أسألك قليلا من كثير مع حاجة بي إليه عظيمة، وغناك عنه قدير، وهو عندي كثير، وهو عليك سهل يسير. اللهم إن عفك عن ذنبي وتجاوزك عن خطيئتي وصفحك عن ظلمي وسترك على قبيح عملي وحلمك عن كثير جرمي عندما كان من خطئي وعمدي، أطمعني في أن أسألك ما لا أستوجبه منك، الذي رزقتني من رحمتك وأريتني من قدرتك وعرفتني من إجابتك، فصرت أدعوك آمنا وأسألك مستأنسا لا خائفا ولا وجلا، مدلا عليك فيما قصدت فيه إليك. فإن أبت عني عتبت بجهلي عليك، ولعل الذي أبطى عني هو خير لي لعلمك بعاقبة الأمور. فلم أر مولا كريما أصبر على عبد اللئيم منك علي يا رب. إنك تدعوني فأولي عنك وتتحبب إلي فأتبغض إليك وتتودد إلي فلا أقبل منك، كأن لي التطول عليك. فلم يمنعك ذلك من الرحمة لي والإحسان إلي والتفضل علي بجودك وكرمك. فارحم عبدك الجاهل وجود عليهم بفضل إحسانك، إنك جواد كريم. الحمد لله مالك الملك مجري الفلك مسخر الرياح فالق الإصباح ديان الدين رب العالمين. الحمد لله على حلمه بعد علمه، والحمد لله على عفه بعد قدرته، والحمد لله على طول أناته في غضبه، وهو قادر على ما يريد. الحمد لله خالق الخلق باسط الرزق فالق الإصباح ذي الجلال والإكرام والفضل والإنعام، الذي بعد فلا يرى وقرب فشهد النجوى، تبارك وتعالى. الحمد لله الذي ليس له منازع يعادل، ولا شبيه يشاكل، ولا ظهير يعاضد. قهر بعزته العزة، وتواضع لعظمته العظمى، فبلغ بقدرته ما يشاء. الحمد لله الذي يجيبني حين أنادي، ويستر على كل عورة وأنا أعصيه، ويعظم النعمة علي فلا أجازي. فكم من موهبة هنية قد أعطى، وعظيمة مخوفة قد كفى، وبهجة مونقة قد أراني، فأثني عليه حامدا وأذكره مسبحا. الحمد لله الذي لا يهتك حجابه، ولا يغلق بابه، ولا يرد سائله، ولا يخيب آمله. الحمد لله الذي يؤمن الخائفين وينجي الصالحين، ويرفع المستضعفين، ويضع المستكبرين، ويهلك ملوكا، ويستخلف آخرين. والحمد لله قاصم الجبارين، مبير الظالمين، مدرك الهاربين، نكال الظالمين، صريخ المستصرخين، موضع حاجات الطالبين، معتمد المؤمنين. الحمد لله الذي من خشيته ترعد السماء وسكانها، وترجف الأرض وعمارها، وتموج البحار ومن يسبح في غمراته. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا، وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. الحمد لله الذي يخلق ولم يخلق، ويرزق ولا يرزق، ويطعم ولا يطعم، ويميت الأحياء ويحيي الموتى، وهو حي لا يموت، بيده الخير، وهو على كل شيء قدير. اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك وأمينك وصفيك وحبيبك وخيرتك من خلقك وحافظ سرك ومبلغ رسالاتك أفضل وأحسن وأجمل وأكمل وأزكى وأنمى وأطيب وأطهر وأسنى وأكثر ما صليت وباركت وترحمت وتحننت وسلمت على أحد من عبادك وأنبيائك ورسلك وصفتك وأهل الكرامة عليك من خلقك. اللهم وصل على علي أمير المؤمنين ووصي رسول رب العالمين، عبدك ووليك وأخي رسولك وحجتك على خلقك وآيتك الكبرى والنبأ العظيم. وصل على الصديقة الطاهرة فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين. وصل على سبطي الرحمة وإمامي الهدى الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة. وصل على أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والخلف الهادي المهدي، حججك على عبادك وأمنائك في بلادك صلاة كثيرة دائمة. اللهم وصل على ولي أمرك القائم المؤمل والعدل المنتظر وحفه بملائكتك المغربين وأيده بروح القدس يا رب العالمين. اللهم اجعله الداعي إلى كتابك والقائم بدينك، استخلفه في الأرض كما استخلفت الذين من قبله، مكن له دينه الذي ارتضيته له، أبدله من بعد خوفه أمنا، يعبدك لا يشرك بك شيئا. اللهم أعزه وأعزز به، وانصره وانتصر به، وانصره نصرا عزيزا، وافتح له فتحا يسيرا، واجعل له من لدنك سلطانا نصيرا. اللهم أظهر به دينك وسنة نبيك حتى لا يستخفي بشيء من الحق مخافة أحد من الخلق. اللهم إنا نرغب إليك في دولة كريمة تعز بها الإسلام وأهله، وتذل بها النفاق وأهله، وتجعلنا فيها من الدعاة إلى طاعتك والقادة إلى سبيلك، وترزقنا بها كرامة الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم ما عرفتنا من الحق فحملنا، وما غصرنا عنه فبلغنا. اللهم المم به شعثنا، واشعب به صدعنا، وارتق به فتقنا وكثر به قلتنا وأعزز به ذلتنا وأغن به عائلنا واغض به عن مغرمنا واجبر به فقرنا وسد به خلتنا ويسر به عسرنا وبيض به وجوهنا وفك به أسرنا وأنجح به طلبتنا وأنجز به مواعيدنا واستجب به دعوتنا وأعطنا به سؤلنا وبلغنا به من الدنيا والآخرة آمالنا وأعطنا به فوق رغبتنا يا خير المسؤولين وأوسع المعطين اشف به صدورنا واذهب به غيظ قلوبنا واهدنا به لما اختلف فيه من الحق بإذنك إنك تهدي من تشاء إلى صراط مستقيم وانصرنا به على عدوك وعدونا إله الحق آمين. اللهم إنا نشكو إليك فقد نبينا صلواتك عليه وآله وغيبة ولينا وكثرة عدونا وقلة عددنا وشدة الفتن بنا وتظاهر الزمان علينا فصل على محمد وآله وعنا على ذلك بفتح منك تعجله وبضر تكشفه ونصر تعزه وسلطان حق تظهره ورحمة منك تجللنا وعافية منك تلبسنا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all of your a'mal, efforts, fasting in the blessed month of Ramadan until this day, and inshallah in the remainder of the month, and give us the tawfiq of completion of the month of Ramadan with sincerity and ikhlas, inshallah. I would like to just make a few announcements to all of our three communities, Masjid Rasul, Masjid Nabi, and Yasin Educational Foundation, that inshallah this Saturday on April 24th, we will have a youth night in-person program at Masjid Nabi. It will be a program starting at 10 p.m. So it's a post-iftar program. And we want to invite everyone over the age of 13 to sign up and inshallah come with their family if they want to, or come themselves and benefit from the programs we prepared for them. There will be inshallah educational programs as well as activities that there will be fun and kind of engaging for the youth. There will be physical activities as well as games, prizes, Q&As, different components, and we will have appetizers during the night, and at the end we will give you a to-go suhoor that you can inshallah take it home, and to follow the protocols, safety protocols due to pandemic. We try to limit people's interaction and exposures to avoid people sitting down and eating without their mask probably. So that would be the first, April 24th, starting at 10 p.m., but you need to sign up. So make sure go to onlinemasjid.com, our website for this collaboration. We used it last year and this year as well. Pretty much all of our programs, all of our announcements, you can go to this website and find all the details there. So go to onlinemasjid.com and sign up for the youth program this Saturday at 10 p.m. Everyone is welcome over the age of 13 because it's a late night program. Youngsters, we encourage them to stay home and inshallah rest for the night. But for over the age of 16, brothers and sisters are welcome to sign up. And as I said, we prepared inshallah different programs for them. The second announcement would be about our Ramadan campaign. We had it last year as well. As you know, because a lot of our, not a lot, almost all of our 3 communities that we are collaborating, we're having virtual and online programs. So it means that most of the work is on you as parents in your house. So to make sure the atmosphere of Ramadan is alive in your household. So we would like to invite you to share your moments of Ramadan, your preparation for Ramadan with you and your family in a video of 60 seconds or less, and then upload it to our website of Online Masjid. It's a Ramadan campaign and making sure to share how you are celebrating Ramadan in your household. Just make sure it's 60 seconds or less, and this will be open from tomorrow. So starting tomorrow, you can upload your videos to onlinemasjid.com. But just make sure when you're recording the videos, number one, use your phone or your cell phone horizontally, so we have a better way to edit the videos. And also make sure the audio, let's say if you want one of your children or youngsters to recite Quran or Dua, that the audio is in a good quality so we can share it with the community. So these are the 2 announcements I would like to make for tonight. And inshallah, stay tuned for our Ramadan programs every night starting at 7:30 p.m. on YouTube channels of these 3 centers. And we will have in-person Layali al-Qadr program. All 3 nights of Qadr, we will have in-person majalis. More details will be announced as we get closer to those nights. Also, sign up is requirement. So once again, youth night on April 24th, Saturday at 10 p.m. You have to sign up. It's open for brothers and sisters of age of 13 and above. And secondly, is about Ramadan campaign starting tomorrow. You can upload your videos of you and your family sharing how you are experiencing Ramadan, how you're celebrating Ramadan. It could be about how you decorated your house. It could be about your children reciting Quran or du'as, or it could be even you as a family saying Ramadan Mubarak or Happy Ramadan to the community, so we can keep the spirit of the community alive during this time that we are having our program virtually and online. Thank you so much for following our programs. Inshallah, you found them beneficial. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us increase of tawfiqat to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to serve the religion of Islam, and to serve the Imam of our time. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect you, your loved ones from the illness of, from any illness, from any disease, spiritual disease as well as the physical disease. May Allah keep you safe and protected, inshallah. Keep us in your du'as. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
اللهم لك صمنا لك صمنا اللهم لك صمنا لك صمنا وعلى رزقك أفطرنا فتقبل منا فتقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم إنك أنت السميع العليم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم إلى يوم الدين. I send each and every one of you my salams, inshallah, and I wish that this Shahr Ramadan, this blessed month, will be a month for us to truly benefit from, to raise our awareness of such an important month, to be able to fulfill our obligations, our duties, our acts of worship, inshallah. Many people, especially those that are coming to Islam and those that are raised in a non-Muslim country, sometimes it is difficult for them to read Arabic. It is hard for them to read verses of the Holy Quran that are very long and chapters. And it is also hard for them to read the supplications and du'as because it is a long text. It is a text that is not in their native language. And me, myself, when I was raised in Southern California, it was a little difficult at the beginning to be able to read such lengthy du'as, especially those in the night of Ramadan. You see that, for example, in some of the du'as we have, sometimes it takes an hour long, an hour and a half long. And what makes it more difficult is that it's not in your native language. You see, for example, in Dua al-Jawshan al-Kabir, for example, at the beginning, people are into it, line to line 10, line 20, then at the end, they start looking at each other this way, to see, when the dua will end. So a question arises, and that is, should we focus, especially the youth and those that can't speak Arabic, or those that are just in general not used to such long acts of worship, should they focus more on quantity, or should they focus more on the quality and the meaning? So this is what we're going to be talking about tonight, and this is some of the advice that is from one of the ulama and one of the urafa by the name of Ayatollah Abdul Karim Kashmiri, who was buried in the shrine of Lady Hazrat Ma'asuma, was a teacher of Kifayatul Usul, and also a person that has practiced acts of worship and reached very high levels. And one of the things that he talks about is focusing at the beginning. He says, focus on quality compared to quantity. So I want you tonight to think about this. Which one should we focus more on? Because we know that when you recite one verse in this month, the hadith tells us it's equal to reciting the entire Holy Quran. So we don't want to miss out on quantity in this month. We know that there are going to be acts of supplication. There is going to be ihya and nights that we get together, or in this time period maybe, I don't know exactly what the plan will be, but we will be virtually getting together and reciting these du'as. So we don't want to miss out on these du'as on one hand. And on the other hand, the issue that we have is we want to understand what we're saying. We don't want to just be like a parrot and just mimic what is being said. So let's open this topic up and analyze to see what we should focus on, and because we don't want to leave anything out in terms of quantity. We don't want to leave anything out in terms of quality. So we're going to have to examine some of the hadith. We're going to have to examine some of the scripture that we have to be able to give us, inshallah, a good understanding of what to focus on this Shahr Ramadan, inshallah, so we can have the best, it can be the most effective for us, inshallah. So when we talk about some of the advice of this great scholar, Ayatollah Abdul Karim Kishmi, that passed away maybe around 20 years ago. And, myself, I had friends myself that went to him, and their fathers went to them, and they saw miraculous things, from him. So he truly was a person that was also, they would call him an ayatullah. He was at high levels. So therefore we understand that he knows the hadith, he knows the Quran, and also in high levels of practice. So his main concern is this, and his advice that he gives is this, is that look at people, and he's addressing obviously the people in Iran because he's living there. He's saying, look, what has these long recitations caused for us? Have we really changed, these very long recitations without thinking, without contemplation? Because he's addressing a community that is used to reading du'as. He's addressing a community that sometimes they might just be focusing maybe much more on quantity all the time, and maybe sometimes leaving out the meaning. So his advice is to actually focus more on quality, to think, if you get one section of the dua, for example, any dua, for example, a dua al-iftitah, one part of it that you benefit from, especially at the end, that's about Imam Mahdi, Imam Zaman, Ajjallahu Ta'ala Faraj. And that spark happens, and that connection happens, that ittisal happens, and your heart shatters, and you start saying this one line. Maybe you don't even finish the dua. Obviously, that's going to be you could say, a game changer, a bigger game changer for us than reciting the entire dua and finishing it. So this is one aspect, and this is the advice of, Ayatollah Abdul Karim Kishmiri, that, focus on that. But the problem with this is, if you tell the youth this right now, and they're going to miss out on all the other, the knowledge in the du'as, the ma'rifah and the ma'arif, you could say, the understanding and the beliefs inside the du'as, because the du'as also are teaching us things at the same time. Or when it comes to the Holy Quran, they're going to miss out. When you don't focus on quantity, you're not going to be able to understand the Holy Quran completely. You're not going to be able to, read each chapter and learn something from it. You're just going to focus on one verse for them. So what we're going to be looking at tonight is a balance, and each person has to find their own balance. When I came myself, I decided to come to the Islamic seminary. One of the main motivations that I had was that, I want to, when I recite the Holy Quran, at the same time, you can look at the translation, but I want this to be at the same time. When I read the Arabic, I also understand, the same time I understand what I'm saying. When I read the dua in my, say it's in the nights of Qadr or any night, and I'm reading the dua, I want to understand what I'm saying at the same time. I want to understand that beauty in Arabic, because it's much different when you're reading Arabic compared to when you're reading just the translation. The translation, you're reading the translation, the words of the translator. But when it comes to reading the original, you're reading the words of God in the Quran, or you're reading the words attributed to the Prophet of Islam or the Imams. So therefore, this was one of the main motivations that I had coming to the house, was to spend time, because it is difficult. I know that learning Arabic, and then learning just how to recite it correctly, then learning how to understand it and syntax and morphology and all these vocabulary, all these requirements that are required to understand Arabic, but it is worth it. And we're going to mention tonight this. So we have two camps tonight that we want to think about. Which one should we focus more on? quantity or quality. When it comes also, now I'm going to give you the argument for this side, when it comes to quality, also you see in the traditions that not only in Islam in general do we have a good action, husnul fi'l, a good action. We also have husnul fa'il, meaning a good intention. So our actions can have unlimited, you could say, degrees. A person, just the action without intention. One person, recites, say, does an action that's worth, say, 10 thawab. Then you could do something that's worth 100, then 1,000. There's so many multiple degrees, first of all, of action, of fi'l. At the same time, we also have unlimited or multiple levels or hierarchy of intentions that we have. So you have to put these two together, the two things that come together. So quantity of that action, of the action itself, we could say, and also quality or intention. They both play a significant role in how much that action is worth. For example, we have some of the actions in the Quran. And this is the month of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. And one of the verses in the Quran that came for Imam Ali, when the polytheists came and the Quraysh finally decided to do away with the Prophet of Islam. And this is what right before Hijrah, they understood that he's going to be leaving. They came from each person and they brought a person from each tribe to come and to kill the Prophet of Islam. Then the Quran has that Imam Ali slept in the place of the Prophet, but a verse came. And the verse that came is 207, Surah Baqarah 207. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَشْرِ نَفْسَهُ ابْتِغَاءَ مَرْضَاتِ اللَّهِ وَاللَّهُ رَءُوفٌ بِالْعِبَادِ. And of the people is he who sells himself seeking means to the approval of Allah, and Allah is kind to his servants. There are people that, and when it comes to that intention, so you're looking at this realm, the action is a very beautiful action. The action is giving your life for the Prophet of Islam, sleeping in his bed, those swords that they're going to be piercing the body of the Holy Prophet. I'm going to take those swords. Also, then it says that quality, that intention that Imam Ali has, because some actions that are so difficult, they're worth very high, that action itself, also it brings a very high level amount of sincerity. That's why maybe we could say the best of actions in the hadith is ahmazuha, the most difficult of them, because that action is very high itself, but it's also going to bring a high intention. So you see in this verse of Quran that Imam Ali alayhi salam, and he is Abul Aja'ib, and this is the month of Ali ibn Abi Talib. If we could just talk about and remember Imam Ali this entire month, it still would not be enough for us. And we learn in that Imam Ali alayhi salam, he spent the night in the bed of the Holy Prophet, and then this verse comes, those that sell themselves, those that yashri nafsahu, those that seek themselves, ibtigha'a mardatillah, he sold himself. And there's no higher, you could say, explanation of someone giving everything that they have, that they sell themselves with such intention, with such purity. So therefore, you see in the Holy Quran, it talks about one example, at least I'm showing, that that quality is going to change. That quality is that action will, with that intention, is going to bring a verse to come down in one of the beautiful verses of the Quran. When you look at also other hadith in general, you see that as Muslims, therefore, we are looking to have that intention, that quality with quantity all the time. That actually, if you really think about it, if you have actions without sincere intentions, those actions don't count. Those actions do not count at all. Or actually, sometimes if you even have the wrong intention, those actions will equate to actually polytheism and shirk. And those will be against, what the reward that we want is actually going to separate us from God. So very clearly also then you have traditions that, ana khayrun sharik, that Allah in the hadith is mentioning from Imam Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, I am the best of partners. Man ashraka bi fi amale lan aqbalah. I will not accept whoever associates anything with me in terms of that intention, won't be accepted. So we have to be very careful of the intention at the same time, of quantity at the same time. If you don't do anything, if you don't have any actions or your actions are less, you're going to notice that there's no room for intentions to come. To make things a little bit simple so far, I advise, my general advice for the youth is this, that we should at the same time put these two realms, quantity and quality, together, especially this month of Ramadan, because you don't want to miss out on all the reward that is available. You don't want to miss out on reading the entire Quran. I myself, it was very difficult, when I was in high school to try to read the Quran in Arabic because I was just learning. And but what came out of that at the end, one year you read more, and then after Ramadan you read more, you study more, you start to get used to that understanding. Practice makes perfect. And you master one chapter, you memorize one chapter, and then it becomes natural. Like, for example, Surah Al-Hamd. Most of us, we understand what we are saying in Arabic. Or some of the du'as that we repetitively study, repetitively do, most of the parts, saying du'a kumail, we understand. So if you focus on quantity at the same time as focusing on quality, you're going to be learning in this month of Ramadan more about the ma'arif and understanding. You're going to be able to master, the Arabic that's in there, even though I know it is a very difficult task. At the end, we might have to take time to study Arabic, and which is well worth it, believe me. And you will then start to master those du'as. And every year, you learn a little bit more about, for example, du'a Abu Hamza. You learn a little bit more about du'a iftitah. And you begin to master these du'as. So my recommendation in general, each person is at a different level. Each person is different, but to not allow their nafs, their desire sometimes to push themselves, because they not allow their nafs to cause laziness and to say, look, I'm just going to read a little short dua. I'm not going to read the rest of the dua. I don't even understand what it's saying. That's wrong at the same time. That's another extreme that we want to get away from. Even when it comes inside the du'as, when you have, for example, in the du'as, sometimes somebody gets tired in the middle, and sometimes there's ups and downs in these long du'as that we have, Joshua Kabir, Abu Hamza. There's ups and downs. Sometimes you get tired a little bit, and then you're back up in another line. So if you want to just put all these this whole du'a aside and not do it, you won't be able to have that connection. Let's look now, examine more about how important both of these are to get a good conclusion, inshallah. One of the things that we have when it comes to intention and quality of action, sometimes we have in the hadith that if you do something that is even small, sometimes we do something, it's a small act, but it has sincerity. So even say handing a person a cup of water, but it's with such sincerity because, say, that person didn't really like you, or you had bad relations with that person and you're trying to make it up, with one little intention that we have. Sometimes a small action, but with good intention, will equate to something great, grand. There's a hadith from in Al-Kafi related to Prophet Musa alayhi salam that talks about that Allah, blessed the Most High, He addressed Prophet Musa in intimate conversation and mentioned to Prophet Musa alayhi salam, Ma uridu ya Musa, in this hadith attributed to him, in Al-Kafi attributed to God, Ma urida bihi wajhi fakathirun qalilu. In intimate conversation, he said, whatever is done for my sake, a little of it is a lot. Whatever is done for my sake, kathirun qalilu. Right? Even if it's a little, it equates to kathir, a lot. You won't really understand unless you work, on these meanings and you spend time. You really won't benefit that as much as you want from the hadith unless you keep working, as I said, reading in Arabic, working on these hadith, and being able to increase also quality and quantity in scripture. وَمَا أُرِيدَ بِهِ غَيْرِي, and whatever is done for the sake of others, فَقَلِيلُ كَثِيرُ, a lot of it is little. So that intention part is another realm that it makes our actions very high. It can be something small, but it can be sincere. So when you look at this and you apply this to the du'as, you see that what we are looking for in Shahr Ramadan, even though yes, you're looking for quantity, but at the end, if you just have to choose what's going to change your life, is going to be that quality, because Allah is in the hearts of the shattered heart, those hearts that constantly are crying, and it's a night that somebody loses reliance on all of creation, is only remembering their Lord, at the nights of Ramadan, and they cry over the one line of dua, and then in the morning when they wake up they say, Allah, I want to change. Allah, I don't want to continue what I was doing before. Allah, I want to go higher in that path of guidance. So we're looking and not making the mistakes of many others, that they are very beautiful reciters of Quran, very beautiful reciters of dua, but that dua didn't impact them, that dua didn't change them. So I'm trying to, at the end tonight, I'm trying to push for both. But if you really want to choose one, we would probably have to say at the end, quality is better, even if we don't finish the entire job. But I don't want to say this because, at the end, some of the youth, they won't try hard. They won't try to learn Arabic. They won't try to read these du'as. They won't, sometimes in the middle or at the end of that long du'a is that when you get that connection. Because, just that nur and that light of just reciting is so beautiful, and then at the end, maybe your heart will change. So you never know when that's going to happen. But at the end, one of the mistakes that many people have done, and I've seen this, and I can say myself too, that a lot of times we're just trying to finish the dua and say, oh, okay, today I did this action, tomorrow I'm going to do this action. And you think it's a lot, but at the end, you didn't really pay attention, because there are very deep meanings in these du'as, very great meanings inside our du'as, if you really think about them. We have also in the tradition that we're looking at some that in this month of Ramadan also, when it comes to quality, they are reciting the du'as also in private. Du'as are good to recite together, but also I recommend to have a time period where we do the du'as and our supplications, even if it's not in Arabic, even if it's not, because we're learning so much when it's in Arabic, but just by ourselves and God, we're just having private talk, private conversation. This is also something else that I do recommend for everybody. Just in these nights of Ramadan, find somewhere secluded, find a time that's your time, and maybe even family members, nobody's around, it's just you. So if you want to cry, it's fine. If you want to just talk to God by yourself, it's fine. Look at, these are also things that are increasing the quality, the sincerity. There's a beautiful hadith in Uttatul Da'i that talks about Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, that talks about a group of people that they come in the hereafter. And it says in the hadith, verily Allah has servants who sincerely engage in transaction with him in secrecy. So those that they deal with God very secretly. And people not necessarily, they know who they are. Sometimes we have, in the biographies of some of our ulama and urafa, even their closest family members, they really didn't know who they were. They hid things even from their family. Some understood, but some of the very high actions that they did, it was just between them and God. So those that are so sincere, they deal with God in secrecy. So Allah gives them from his pure reward and goodness. For they are the ones whom will come on the day of resurrection with their book of deeds empty. And when they stand in front of Allah, their books will be filled. They come in the hereafter, and their book of deeds is empty. These are good people. Why is it empty? But then it becomes filled with the secrets that they had with him. And then here Mufaddal ibn Saleh asks the Imam in this hadith, فَقُلْتُ يَا مَوْلَايَ وَلِمَاذِ ذَلِكَ? Oh, my master, why will it be empty? Why would they? You said they're good people. And then the hadith, it continues, أَجَّلَهُمْ أَن تَطَّلِعَ الْحَفَظَ عَلَى مَا بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَهُمْ. That Allah holds them in such high regard that He does not want the guardian angels, al-hafadha, the guardian angels, to be aware of what is between Him and them. Even the angels in the hereafter, they are so sincere. Their actions are, in such secrecy with God that the angels will not even be aware of what they did. So we're looking at also at the same time to increase a secret talk, the quality and a secret talk that we have with God in these nights of Ramadan. Believe me, these nights are going to pass very fast. And besides reciting these du'as, I do recommend to have this private talk in any language that you want, in any way that you want. He is your Lord. He is, your God, and He loves you. He understands you. As much, power that He has. He is power itself, but He also is completion. So therefore, we're looking to have this talk with God. Also, we look at other things. So therefore, to wrap things up so far, what main focus is that this month of Ramadan, we take a little bit of these du'as that we're doing, putting some heart into it, putting, and if they're in secrecy, even better. It's good to do du'as like that. And if they're together, it's fine, with your family. It's also good to have others benefit. But you're looking at that connection with God when you're reading these du'as and a'mal. You don't just want it to be just mimicking. You want it to change, because, the worst thing what we can do is in the du'as is not pay attention. Imagine right now I'm talking to you, for example, and you're talking to me back, and I'm not listening to you. You're addressing me, and you're saying, Seyyed, I have a question. And I'm just like this. I'm on my phone, looking this way. Imagine, such an action that, such a behavior that I would have, that when somebody is, when I'm talking, or when I am talking to God, I'm looking the other way. Could we have something that is, and I'm, guilty of it sometimes too, that when it comes to dua, sometimes we forget that you're talking to God, you're speaking to Him. And as we have, we worship now the way we worship God, as if we have many gods. There's many gods, and just your intention is always this way, this way, this way. But when God listens to our du'as and listens to our supplications, it's as if He has one creation, not say 6 billion, 7 billion. He has one creation, just you. And He's watching you, listening to you. What are you saying? And how bad it is, I'm telling myself this, that when we read the dua, that I actually forget, what I'm saying. Saying, for example, saying, "Zalamtu nafsi," I have wronged myself. Then I'm just like, "Zalamtu nafsi," and just taking it very, in a way that I'm not paying attention to those words that I'm saying. So as if it could even be a type of, dishonor, we could say, or, something that is not right. So in these du'as, remember that you're focusing, you're talking to God. And one of the other things that I want to mention here at the same time, to encourage us to pay attention, to encourage quality and also quantity, is that you're going to learn a lot from du'as. So I know that the du'as are lengthy, but think of them as lessons for you. Why do we have so many commentaries of our du'as? We have commentaries of Abu Hamza, I've saw commentaries of Du'a Iftitah. There's so many commentaries of du'a. Why? Because in hadith, when it comes to hadith, a lot of the times the hadith are answers of the questions that a narrator had. and the narrator is asking him questions, and the Imam is answering him according to that person's level. If he's at a very low level, the Imam is going to answer them at a low level. He's not going to give him an answer for Allah Mihilli or something, for example, or say a narrator, say Zurara or Muhammad ibn Muslim. He's going to give him a level just for him. So you can read a hadith that has been limited because of the narrator. Because obviously the Imam is going to first address the narrator. He's not going to address it. True, it is somehow it's going to address us at the same time, or at least when we learn from the hadith, it applies to us at the same time, because you look at the hadith and the narrator and you see the context. But first and foremost, that hadith is for that narrator. He's going to answer his question. But when it comes to dua, it is between the holy Imam and God, or the Prophet of Islam and God. There's no limit because of the narrator. There's no limit. So the Imam is not going to lower that level of knowledge inside the dua. And that is why you have sometimes some of the most specific and highest levels of belief, aqa'id, ma'arif, inside the du'as. Why? Because it is just the infallible talking to God. And you see, imagine, us, and you say, imagine right now, I ask you, write a letter between you and God, write a dua. Our duas will be very short because the way that we understand God is so low. But you see in the dua Abu Hamza, you see in the different names of God and dua al-Joshan Kabir, you see in dua iftitah, the way that God is being praised, different attributes of God. We could not come up with this ourselves. So you're looking at lessons inside the du'as that actually, when you're really thinking, all of these can be, you can save for future, references, and to learn how your Lord is, how God is, and how I should speak to Him. So that's, another thing that is important. So tonight, alhamdulillah, we learned about this important topic, about quantity and quality. Inshallah, we will be focusing more. So also we have, if there are, of course, at the same time, if there are questions, you can put it in. At the same time, I do like to have engagement, because, it is important. Well, I'm going to be, inshallah, be giving a conclusion, inshallah, I'll answer. Okay, so yes. So take all these du'as and these supplications, very, inshallah, important, and take heed to them and give time to them. Try to master them, try to learn them. And don't ever think that you're doing a lot of dua. One of the problems too, I'll conclude with this, is that because we are in a non-Muslim society, sometimes we think our worship is a lot. I think, oh, mashallah, I have done so much worship. Look at me, mashallah. There's a lady that they saw her worship all the time. She was doing salat and people were looking at her. Wow, mashallah, this old lady, look at how much she's worshiping. And then she got so happy about herself, so proud in the middle of salat. She said, you don't even know, I'm fasting too. So sometimes you get really excited, you get very happy that, look at everyone around me. Nobody else is fasting. I'm fasting, alhamdulillah. Oh, look at me, I'm looking at all these du'as, mashallah, I'm reading this du'a, that du'a, this verse, this Quran. And you get in yourself, na'udhu billah, a sense of ujb, that, oh, I'm reading a lot of Quran, I'm reading a lot of du'a. This is also something else, that quantity has an issue. Whenever you want to bring, yourself out of this vicious trap of ujb and thinking that you are good, thinking high of yourself, remember the worship of others. Remember the worship of others that have worshipped Allah way more than us. Especially students in the Hawza, we always try to look at the greats, and it makes us seem as nothing. That's one of the reasons I really think that when you're in the Hawza, it's sometimes hard to become arrogant, because if you want to become arrogant, your teacher will, answer, you ask him, you try to refute his or object to his, say, to him in class, and he'll give you an answer that will you just leave you speechless. So it's hard sometimes when you have a great teacher, great person in front of you, to get conceited. Look at the worship of some of the people that we had. And I'm just saying this so it brings us down and makes us more humble. Look at the worship, for example, of some of the ulama that we had. They used to do dua Abu Hamza. Sometimes it's hard for us to even do it once in the Shahr Ramadan. They used to do in the Hawza, and some of the seminary students used to do this by memory, by hifz, inside their qunuts, dua Abu Hamza and Salat al-Layl. It's 1 hour dua about. In their qunut, they used to do. So don't think that our worship is a lot. There are people that used to do this by memory, and they would talk to God, in this way. Or we have some of the philosophers that they would used to, in sujood, read a dua Josh al-Kabir in their sujood. Al-Ghawth, Al-Dhaqawth, Qallista min an-Nar, Ya Rab, especially that part, the names of God. So don't think that our worship is a lot. There are people that some of the ulama that we have, their child was saying that they counted their worship, and besides teaching, going to class and students and everything that they had, maybe around 12 hours a day they would worship God. I'm not saying that I'm like this myself, or no, I am one of those that probably worship as the least in this gathering than anybody else. But to remember the worship of people that are contemporary, that they're closer to us, and see how they would cry, and see how much they would do du'as in the Shahr Ramadan, and compare ourselves. So inshallah, we are looking for this at the end. Get a balance. If you want to conclude and see what did Seyyed Abbas talk about tonight, quantity or quality, we need both. If you have to choose one and there's no other way, yes, that quality is going to change, is going to be a game changer. But in the long run, when you read the du'as, when you read the ma'arif inside these du'as and supplications, it's going to open another world for you. And imagine having both sincerity and focus in the entire du'a. Try to ask God before the du'as to allow my tears to shed, allow me to cry for you. This is rizq. You've allowed me, you have brought here in this month, this is your month. You've brought me here so that I could talk to you. Break my heart, open my eyes for tears to shed down. And inshallah, it will happen. So now I'm going to answer this, and then I'm going to mention a little bit about Imam Ali alayhi salam, and we'll end. Can you please share a dua to recite when feeling fearful, to eradicate fear in the heart? So dhikr of God is always any type of dhikr, remembrance. Especially if you remember God when it comes to, say, a tyrant, or when you go to the marketplace. Different times you just do dhikr in remembrance of God. And that could be, one of the best supplications we have in the month of Ramadan, and salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Doing salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad is some of the best dhikrs that we have. There's one of the ulama that they saw, in the hereafter, they came to him. So in this world, they say that somebody had passed away and that they were in trouble in the hereafter. They're in trouble in the purgatory. And they asked them, they said, we had a dream about him. Please, is there something that I can do? And he goes and comes back the next day and says that it's okay, do not worry about it. I've fixed it, they're in better condition. And they said, what did you do? He said, I recite salawat. Because it was from a sincere person. He said, recite one salawat. So I recommend to remember God. Now, I can look at the specific du'as and mention to Brother Shahrukh here, inshallah, in this community. I'll send them if there's any dua, specific dua. But in general, any type of remembrance, whatever you like. Remembrance of God is going to remove that fear, remove that anxiety from you. It's going to cause tatma'in al-qulub. It's going to cause your heart to be mutma'in, inshallah, and to be calm. Second question, and the quality of the dua is different in its original form Arabic than if we're in English. As I said, if you really want to go down to the meaning, when you're reciting the English, you're reciting the word of the translator. And believe me, things have been translated very bad. The Quran that has been translated, and they're more very careful, there are many mistakes in the translations, many mistakes, not only in the Sunni, but in the Shia, especially in the Sunni. Sometimes you have some verse in the Quran, lan tarani, for example. Allah says in the Quran, lan tarani, you'll never ever see me. Lan in Arabic means nafyul abad, never ever. You'll never ever see me. So therefore it matches, our belief that you'll never see God in the hereafter, because God is not physical. God is supranatural. God is metaphysical. You see God with your heart. Anything that has something, shape or form in this world is limited. God is not limited. We do not see him. The traditions for Ahlul Bayt say that. But the Ahlul Sunnah brothers, they mention that there will be ru'yatullah, some of them, in the hereafter. You will see God in the hereafter. Therefore, when it comes to this line, lan tarani, instead of translating lan like they did in other places, never ever, that's what it means. You never ever. They did, lan here, they'll change it a little bit, and lan now will mean, you will not see me, instead of you'll never see me. So yes, reciting dua in Arabic has nur, has light, because it's the speech of God. It's the speech of the prophets. And it's the preservation, the way that we have preserved our scripture. We believe as Muslims that the Holy Quran is the only book that has not been changed or tampered, the only holy book, which is a miracle by itself, that hasn't been changed. So you have access to the original, you have access to the unchanged, unaltered. So therefore, yes, you focus on it. I know it is hard, and that's why I gave this speech tonight, because I had difficulty myself going through it. But yes, you read the Quran, sometimes you might not understand because it's Arabic, but you're going to be learning and learning. The best would be to read with a little bit of tafsir here, with a little bit of translation here. And slowly, believe me, next year, you're going to be better and better at it. What is the best way to learn Quran Arabic with meaning? There are classes, there are Islamic houses and seminaries. There's a Imam Sadiq seminary that online you can take, and it has Arabic morphology, 70 lessons. You take morphology, Arabic syntax, 70, 80 lessons, whatever, and it's taught in English. You sign up and it's recorded. It's so much easier to study Arabic. Now, back then, we would have to go and find a teacher to please teach me this, and you'd have to give. Now they record it and you sign up. Islamic Seminar, Imam Sadiq, I saw, one of my friends is organizing it, and the courses are online, and you take the courses, and they've spent time actually to make these videos timeless. They spent time editing it, and so it can be used for the future generation. They're bringing all the Hausa classes in this, I taught, Arabic grammar myself. We finished syntax. Find people either directly to teach you, or if you don't, you can go to these pre-recorded and learn. I think that is the best way. The fourth question, no problem. People in the West these days don't have enough time. How can we do 1 hour du'as every day? See, yes, that's one issue. Let me give you an example. Ayatollah Shobaidi Zanjani, his father, Majra Ahmad Zanjani, was the prayer leader in Qom, and many people respected him. He said that, I just figured out that I had extra time in the day. So I said, every time there's something extra, I have extra time, let me take out the Quran and read a little bit. I'm sitting there. This is something for myself. I don't like to say things that I don't do myself too much, but a lot of times we're addicted to our devices, and then, at the end of the week, that screen time report comes and you're like, oh no, every day, this how many hours I've been on the phone, you hate that report, that comes out. It's going to be sent to the angel in the hereafter. So imagine instead of our devices, I'm telling myself this, as I said, I worship the least from each and every one of you. When you have these, he said I had a Quran and I would read it and recite it whenever I had extra time. 5 minutes, I'd read it. 2 minutes here. He says at the end of the day, I found out I was reading 1 juz of the Quran every day, just with extra time I found here and there in the daytime, just with extra time. So remember, if you use that time wisely. Then he said, this is very interesting now. I'm not saying I read a juz every day myself, inshallah, in the Shahr Ramadan. This is always. Then he says, look, I've even tried to manage my time even better. And I found more time here and there. And whenever I had time, I'd read more Quran. He says, I started reading 2 juz a day. 2 juz a day. So how can this be done? As I said, you want to balance quantity and quality. In the car, you're driving to work, just listen to the Quran. And you're reciting it. That's fine, because that's or you're going to do Ziyad Ashura, you're going to do Dua al-Ahad, you're going to do whatever dua early in the morning, and you're driving, you don't have time. Take use of that time that you're in the cars. Especially I listened to some of the Bahath al-Kharij that I have from or Rijal of or different things just in the car. Some of my friends and I, we say, yeah, we did this course just all in the car, just listening whenever we're driving. You're going to have time here and there. Just like you have time for your devices, you're going to have time. So yeah, trying to find those. 5th question, I often read du'as during gatherings at masajid, etc. But I fear that my intention is impure. I struggle with admitting to myself that I am what I'm doing for God. See, you have to be balanced. One of the problems also we don't know what riyah is. We don't know what showing off is. And it's sometimes crying in front of your friends is something, it's kind of embarrassing. It's, at least in the West, if crying happens, it's going to be, something that's bad, kind of. In the Middle East, it's okay. It's very normal. You cry, and sometimes people yell. They yell. They hear things for the Ahlul Bayt, and it deserves yelling. Believe me, it deserves yelling. Ayatollah Wahid mentions that if the entire world were to be burned down for Imam Hussein, it would be worth it. Don't ever think that you're doing Maltam and Sina Zani, that's a lot for Imam Hussein. This is a tragic event. The entire world would mourn and this would happen, it would be worth it. So when it comes to crying, don't worry that people are going to be seeing you, and sometimes we're a little too conscious of riyah of others. I saw myself, Ayatollah Bahjah. I was in Mashhad, I saw him. How focused he was. There's a group of 50, wherever he go, they would follow him. They wouldn't leave him alone. And he would come in the morning to do ziyarah of Imam Rida alayhi salam. I saw him, and there's 50 people around him just looking at him like this. And as if he didn't pay attention to anybody. He was just like this for a very long time. And it didn't affect, that is everyone accepts Ayatollah Bahjah. That he's not faking it. So learn, don't care, just you and God. So sometimes you have to be like that. And also, yes, sometimes you'll need to have secrecy, but don't have waswas. The people are looking you, he saw me, or she saw me, it's batil. No, don't have waswas when it comes to his actions. These are normal. People would cry. The Imams of Ahlul Bayt would cry in front of others. It's not always hiding your tears. They would, talk about people yelling for Imam Hussein alayhi salam, sarha, or yelling for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. This is fine. This is normal. But yeah, you have your own private, your time too. So don't worry too much on that. Last question, is it permissible to read du'as like Du'a Faraj during the qunut of your obligatory prayers? Yes. Actually, I remember this. I have to verify. Allahumma kulla waliyika al-Hujjat ibn al-Hasan. He said that they went and visited Ayatollah Khou'i in Najaf, if I remembered right. And he said, I was with them for a long time, and every qunut that he would do this. Every qunut of his salat would do Allahumma kulla waliyika al-Hujjat ibn al-Hasan. that was the last, I'm going to mention something about Imam Ali alayhi salam, so we can prepare ourselves. This is the month of recitation of the Quran. But Imam Ali alayhi salam is the manifestation of the Quran. He is Quranun Natiq. This is the month that we say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. I have descended the Quran in the night of Qadr. God has descended, we have descended the Quran in the night of Qadr. Also, Allah had taken away the Quran and Natiq in the night of Qadr. The night of the 21st, the 19th and 21st, the Quran that we had, the implementation of the Quran, the speaking Quran, this has been taken away from us. Brothers and sisters, every time that we face problems, we have pain and suffering that we don't know what to do. I always think this. I blame those that killed Ali ibn Abi Talib. I blame those that separate us from Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, because we didn't have to live this way. We didn't have to live that we're separated from Ahlul Bayt. Allah designed the world to always bring guides for each tribe, each group. And whenever we see suffering, I myself, I curse the enemies of Imam Ali. I say, why did you do this to Amir al-Mu'mineen? Why did you set him aside? Why did you kill Ali ibn Abi Talib? Why did you fight against him? Because now the world would have been much different. We would have Imam al-Zaman in front of us. We have the Imam of the age. In whatever way we're suffering right now, when people are dying throughout the world because of sickness. But if we were to approach Hujjat ibn al-Hasan, our Imam, and he would bring one, caress their heads one time, and caress their chest one time, they would be removed. Their sickness would be removed. When we're facing poverty, it's by separating ourselves from the Imams. When there's oppression, it's because we separate ourselves from the Imams. We are the orphans of the Imam. So in this month of Ramadan, that when you think of the worship of Ali ibn Abi Talib, and you see that how such a beautiful person was taken away by Ashqa al-Ashqiya and hit in the head with the sword while worshipping Allah. And the statement attributed to him, Fustu warab al-Kaaba, what a beautiful statement. That we lost him in this month. This is the month of Ali ibn Abi Talib. If you want to learn worship, if you want to learn how to read du'as, if you want to learn how to Allah to love you, love Ali ibn Abi Talib. Bina urif Allah, bina ubid Allah. Through us, Allah has known Ahlul Bayt. Through us, Allah has worshipped. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala Ahl Bayti at-Tayyibin at-Tahirin. May Allah make our hearts full of the love of Ali ibn Abi Talib, our progeny, our descendants, inshallah. May Allah forgive all of those that have passed away that aren't joining us in this Shahr Ramadan, and have them, the first person we meet when we die, the person that we meet when we die is Ali. وَمَنْ يَمُوتْ مَنْ يَمُوتْ يَرَنِي. Whoever dies sees me. So make Ali ibn Abi Talib be the Shafi and intercede in the behalf of Allah for all those that have passed away, and expedite the return of our Imam of the age. We're tired of suffering. We're tired of being orphans. If you want to do dua for something, the most important dua is dua for Imam Zaman, connection to Imam Zaman, inshallah, your Imam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
My God, this tribulation has become agonizing.
إلهي أعظم البلاء وبرح الخفاء.
It's now out in the open.
وانكشف الغطاء.
The veil has been lifted.
وانقطع الرجاء.
All hope has been lost.
أضاقت
Everyone is at a loss. The heaven has been blocked. You are the one from whom help is sought. You are the one to whom grievances are brought.
وعليك المعول في الشدة.
You are the one who was relied upon in times of both severity and prosperity. O God, bless Muhammad and members of his family who are the rightful leaders. You have made it obligatory for us to obey them, and through this obedience you have made their true status known to us. So please give us relief for their sake, a swift and prompt relief within the blink of an eye, or even quicker than that.
Ya Muhammad,
O Muhammad, O Ali, O Ali, O Muhammad, protect me as you two are truly capable of doing so. Help me as you two are truly capable of helping me.
Ya Mawlana,
O our Master, the Lord of the age, help me, help me, help me, take hold of me, take hold of me, take hold of me, at this moment, at this moment, at this moment. Hurry, hurry, hurry. O God, the most merciful of all who show mercy, have mercy on me for the sake of Muhammad and the pure members of his family.
از نور حسن محمد چشم عالم شده روشن، از رایحه لبخندش عالم یک سر شده گلشن. یا محمد یا محمد شام دل انسان ها را تو شدی چون ما، ای هادی اهل دنیا یا رسول الله. شام دل انسان ها را تو شدی چون ما، ای هادی اهل دنیا یا رسول الله، یا رسول الله. قلب بالحق تعلق وبغار حراء تألق، يبكي يسأل خالقه فأتاه الوحي فأشرق. صل على محمد السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك يا حبيبي يا نبي الله. رسول الله.
يا طيبة جئتك صبا لرسول الله محبا، بالروضة سكنت روحي وجوار الهادي محمد.
صبحی که دمید از مشرق با سوری از چشمانش، سرچشمه‌ای از رحمت بود در جاری بی پایانش. السلام علیک یا رسول الله، السلام علیک حبیبی یا نبی الله، السلام علیک یا رسول الله، السلام علیک حبیبی یا نبی الله یا رسول الله.